Every creature of the night wants one thing, a place to belong, but in The Reluctant Vampire, even the undead must decide whether to stay invisible or step into the moral spotlight. Greetings, ghouls, and welcome to a dive into horror television. Tonight we explore a fanged farce about loneliness, labor, and the slow decay of identity in a world that refuses to accommodate difference. The Reluctant Vampire from Season 3 of Tales from the Crypt. We open to a vampire getting up for work. His name is hilariously Donald Longtooth, and Malcolm McDowell plays him. He drinks some blood, puts down his pet rat, and heads off to work. We arrive at the blood bank, where Mr. Longtooth works as a nighttime security guard. Mr. Crosswhite, the boss, wants to know why there's never as much blood available as they are taking in. Sally swears to try her best to get to the bottom of what's happening. He threatens to close down the whole operation. Mr. Crosswhite is a bit rough around the edges, so Donald defends Sally the best he can. That night, when Sally's heading out, she stops to talk with Donald and thanks him for being brave and sticking up for her. Sally confesses she finds Donald sexy. That's when Mr. Longtooth's vampire fangs poke out of his mouth, and he has to hide them. There's definitely some chemistry between them, so it's a shame he's a long-toothed vampire. When she exits, he swiftly goes inside the fridge to grab some blood bags. He shakes them up like a cocktail and pours them into a martini glass. Delicious. Donald has to take matters into his own hands and find some blood for the lab. He's very reluctant to kill. That's why he's a reluctant vampire. But with his job on the line, and Sally's too, he has to roam the streets in search of prey. A little old lady is walking the streets alone when a criminal attempts to steal her purse. She kicks him in the balls and gets away. This is the perfect opportunity for Donald to strike. So he taps his jugular and collects as much blood as he can into a water jug. When we get back, he pours the collected blood into the donor bags just as Sally enters. She came in early today. She asks Donald if he thinks she's unattractive, and he tells her she's very beautiful. She holds him close. She adores him. His fangs come out again and he must rush home to hide. Later we meet detectives and a vampire hunter who are trying to solve the case. They go to look at the body, and the vampire hunter tries to convince the police it was a vampire who committed this murder. They don't believe him. Then we return to the blood bank for a staff meeting. Mr. Crosswhite announces that he's going to scale back the operation. If they were to stay open, they need to produce double the blood they're collecting now, otherwise most of the staff will be laid off. What terrible news. That night, Mr. Longtooth is devastated that he's going to lose his blood access and have to stalk in the night again. He comes up with a plan. He's going to kill criminals and take their blood to stock up the bank. More and more bloodless bodies turn up. Mr. Crosswhite is thrilled to announce that 500 pints have been collected in just 2 days. They're back in business. The detective meets with the vampire hunter again. He has a bill from Transylvania that gives away the vampire's location. They decide to go for a drive to check it out. Donald gets home and Mr. Crosswhite is there. He has a squirt gun with holy water and tells Donald that he has big plans for him. Mr. Crosswhite says that the blood bank was never going to close. It was just a ruse to see how far Donald would go. Now that he realizes how much blood he can bring in, he wants more and more for his business. Donald doesn't want to kill again, but he's no match for the holy water. It hurts him enough that he submits to the demands. Sally pops out of a coffin and sticks up for Donald. She's known he was a vampire for years and still thinks he's sexy. Mr. Crosswhite wants Sally for himself. She will do anything to protect Donald. Mr. Crosswhite wants to see where Donald sleeps, so Donald drops his coffin right on Crosswhite's head, knocking him out. Donald plans to suck his blood, but just as he's about to dive in, one of his windows breaks upstairs. Donald puts Crosswhite into his coffin and raises it. Sally and Donald hide. It's the vampire hunter and the detectives. The vampire hunter knows just where the coffin is and he lowers it. And before anyone can stop him, he punctures his heart with a stake. Mr. Crosswhite goes down, and Longtooth and Sally are just fine. She wants him to turn her into a vampire so they can be together forever. He bites into her neck and she's thrilled. And that's how we leave these two cuties. This one shows us how love can be a catalyst for moral collapse. Donald isn't corrupted just because he's hungry for blood. He's corrupted by love. His feelings for Sally push him to do things he's avoided for decades. On top of that, we see the horrors of economic desperation. The blood bank closing isn't because the staff is failing, but because capitalism is. The boss sees no profit, so the blood bank and its staff are disposable. Donald's violence grows out of job insecurity and the sheer terror of being displaced. The blood bank's collapse becomes a metaphor for how capitalism forces individuals to compromise their morals to survive. Who is the real monster? Donald or the vampire hunter? Donald, the so-called monster, is compassionate, conflicted, and careful, while the so-called hero is violent, rigid, and unreflective. The show asks, what makes someone monstrous? Nature or behavior? The vampire hunter treats Donald's identity as a crime before Donald even commits one. It's an allegory about profiling otherness and policing difference. Social identity theory shows how dominant groups reinforce their authority by defining certain bodies as inherently threatening or inferior. Just like the vampire hunter's logic, you are a vampire, therefore you are dangerous, mirrors real-world issues like queer phobia, racial profiling, or the surveillance of marginalized groups. Donald hasn't harmed anyone in decades, yet he's policed simply for existing. The episode reveals how social institutions punish identity rather than behavior. Donald hides his vampirism the way marginalized people hide essential parts of themselves in unsafe environments. He pretends to be a harmless human who's uninterested in Sally. It shows us how mask wearing can be key to survival. Donald is a supernatural creature with millennia of experience, but has ended up in the lowest rung of the workforce. He is underpaid, fearful of losing his job, and even performing emotional labor to appear normal. He's someone crushed by the mismatch between who he could be and who society permits him to be. His vampirism becomes a metaphor for burnout, alienation, and his endless loop of working simply to survive. He becomes the ideal neoliberal worker, self-regulating, loyal to a fault, and terrified of unemployment. His vampirism even mirrors the expectations placed on modern employees. Never rest, be tireless, be emotionally neutral, and give more than you receive. What did you think of this one? For me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's clever, funny, and ends on a sweet note. Malcolm McDowell was amazing in this role, and I couldn't imagine casting anyone else. I love George Wendt, who played Mr. Crosswhite too. Bravo. This episode was directed by Elliot Silverstein, who did 3 other episodes of Tales from the Crypt. It was written by Terry Black, who wrote 4 other episodes of Tales from the Crypt. And I think they did a perfect job at nailing this one. What did you think about this episode? Let me know down below, and remember to be well and stay spooky.